Welcome to Palatable Politics, a show where we take the complexity out of politics and make it palatable for you. With me, your host, Thapelo Maslela. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be discussing the role that men play in society and towards women in particular. Here to have this discussion with us today is a father, a husband, an uncle, a brother, a social entrepreneur, activist, full-time, and the founder of Not In My Name International Foundation. Mr. Themba Masango, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope it's going to be a fruitful one.
Yeah. Hope so too. So let's start with the foundation. How did it come about? What's it about? Yeah.
So, Not In My Name International started in 2017, and that was at the advent, you probably remember, where the femicide rate just skyrocketed. And it was just terrible, where we had the killing of Raisuche, the female policeman in Hammanskraal. You remember the issue of Rivers Steenkamp. And we were sitting with a group of friends of ours, and we said, but why don't we do or say something about this? And the current president of Not In My Name, Musia, had the brainchild to say, guys, this can't happen, not in my name. And that's how it started. And then we obviously called for a march for men to stand up, because we believe that in order to fix the problem, you must, engage the issue and the problem as much as you can. And we know that, women don't rape themselves. So it takes men to be the ones who stand up, speak up against the issue, expose one another, speak out against each other, call one another out on, sentiments that are really misogynistic, that are highly toxic, and try to reverse the cycle. And you would know some of the stats right now are shocking. The femicide rate in South Africa is 5.1 times higher than anywhere in the world. We are known, unfortunately, as a rape capital of the world. And that is, terrible. And for us as men to be carrying that badge is something terrible. So we needed to raise awareness around the struggle of women, and make men understand that the emancipation of women is a fundamental human right. Thomas Sankara teaches us that no nation can claim to be truly free when the other half is kept in silence and in bondage. And we need to make sure that every voice is heard. Now, as men, then we decided to say, let's do something about it. So we see ourselves as a countervailing force, to those who are intent on undermining our civil liberties. And we, as a vanguard, and granting a voice to the voiceless majority, especially those who are not necessarily politically connected, as it were, but your everyday human being, especially around issues of social justice. So we started off, obviously, in terms of issues around GBV and so on. But that was just the first phase of our work. And our work has evolved because we realize that socioeconomics plays a big role when it comes to issues of gender-based violence in the country. And we felt that perhaps highlighting GBV, but addressing issues of socioeconomics, addressing issues of socialization, will perhaps drive our message even better. So making sure that we get young boys into mentoring programs, into schooling, men into work, and things like that. And so it's been growing. We're sitting at about a membership of about 24,000. And it has been ticking along quite well. Whether the message is getting through or not, sometimes I debated with myself as well, because It would look like you're doing well for a few months, and then after a while, you'll hear most horrific and terrible things that our gender is doing to others as well, and to ourselves. It even gets to a point where even men are scared of bed. You yourself wouldn't want to be in a taxi at 11:30 at night and have to walk down Bridge Street. So imagine how women feel as well. So we have to try and really get the message through and conscientize men, and for us to speak amongst ourselves, especially in the spaces where we find ourselves, like whether the pubs, the shisanyama, at the soccer fields, and so on. That's where we target mostly, and then we try and engage with one another. And one life saved is a lot.
So we'll come back to the role that you guys are teaching men to play and how to play it. But before that, from your guys' experience, what have you guys found to be the cause as to why men do some of the things that they do? And what goes through their mind? Like what's
Yeah, well, it differs. We actually have a prison program. Last week we were in prison at the Leeucop prison, where we actually sit down with, convicted perpetrators and guys who are in the system and reforming, and to ask exactly that, you know, what caused you to kill your wife? Do you regret what you did? If time were to be reversed, would you do things differently? What made you a rapist? And so on. And there are different answers to that. There is no one specific answer, and those who are maybe more clever than I would probably be able to zoom it down to one point. But in my experience and what we've seen with a lot of the guys that we interact with, it's different things. So one would be uh, a guy, one rapist that I spoke to. He grew up without a father. He doesn't know who his father was, and this is his words. And I'm not making excuses for him or anything like that. He grew up without a father. When he was growing up, there was different men coming in the house, and he was pushed to call each guy daddy every 6 months. And he felt that his mom was not protecting them as the kids in the house from this in and out. He confronted the mom about it. His mom told him that you're as useless as your dad who left. And he started having a resentment towards that. And he felt that, women are easy. Look how many guys pass through here all the time and so on. And he says he lost respect there. Bear in mind, he was being raised by his mother. She was feeding him everything, but his psyche kind of changed at that time. And then as he grew, he started interacting with girls, saying that, he'd go out with them, they'd demand money from him, and then they would give him sex, or they would, he felt that there was no clear connection with any women. So he devalued women. What was worse is perhaps the socialization that we come from, culturally, uh, because of the patriarchal system that we're in, men are believed to be higher and better than women. So he had a lot of that. So he says one night he got a girl, she wanted money, he didn't have. So he decided to take it for himself. She didn't say anything about it. He got away with it. And it started becoming a habit until he was eventually arrested. Does he regret it? Of course. So that's part of the thing. Some of the things is a guy feels that he's lost his job, he's lost his respect at home, they no longer respect him. He wanted to be heard and voice out. No one wanted to listen until he put up his fists and beating up the woman. And then he was listened to. And then he thought maybe that's the way to go. Um, so there are different reasons and whys. The issue here is for us to make men understand that there is no reason and excuse for us to get to a point where we are violent with anybody, let alone a child or a woman. Um, as they say, it's rain that grows grass, not thunder and lightning. So raise your argument, and rather than your fists. And also, we need to be clear as well. There's nothing wrong with being a guy, with being a masculine person. You understand? Masculinity is great. It's problematic now when we are having a situation where others are trying to emasculate men. That shouldn't be the thing. Masculinity is good. Where it's wrong is when it becomes toxic. But masculinity is good because that's what gives you a competitive edge. That's what makes you want to achieve. That what gives you the drive to want to provide for your family, your friends. That's what gives you understand? So there's nothing wrong with you being masculine and wanting to lead and so on. But when it becomes toxic now, when now you have to become violent and beat up and kill people in order for you to feel greater or to assume a higher role. That's the problem. And the way where you have to now verbally abuse your partner and tell them, "Oh, ngiyindoda." That doesn't work. Understand? So it's about not being toxic about our masculinity, but being genuine men who are providers, who are lovers, who are givers, who are protectors.
So that's the role that you guys play as a foundation and the change that you're trying to bring in.
Right. So definitely in terms of the gender-based violence part of things. Well, there's other issues that we stand up for and advocate for.
Okay.
In terms of social injustices that you find. So people being unfairly treated at work, people being unfairly treated the church space, wherever the case may be, where there is a direct violation to our civil liberties and constitution, we want to raise our hands and say, that's not going to happen in my name. So exploitation, it's a problem. We do a lot of community outreach in assisting homes that are, poor. We provide a lot of, you know, food drives. Uh, and obviously, we know that it's not sustainable, but it does bridge a gap at a certain point. We provide scholarships where we can, bursaries, where we merge with some institutions and so on. Um, so far, it's about 30 that we've given to young people that can actually get a post-matric qualification so that they can be able to get some help. So, and a lot of boy-child mentoring with partnering with different organizations. Um, you'll probably get to speak to him sometime. The TG of Not in My Name runs Kalisa Wayne Foundation, where we specifically drill in on the boy child. So when it comes to mentoring, when it comes to education, when it comes to school bursaries, and we've also now recently purchased 2 football clubs because we feel that sports plays a vital role in developing a child in learning things like discipline, teamwork, and so on, and sponsoring those and making sure that we keep our young boys off the street and they are positively impacted because a lot of boys are having role models in the street by with guys that are doing completely wrong things, and you need to try and create a positive spin for young boys where they can see a successful a black man who has a family, who's with his children and with the wife and going to work and providing back in society, because we believe that it takes one in order to be one. So, and we live by that.
So that's your guys' work as a foundation,
Right.
and the work that you guys are doing.
Right.
As an individual, what can we do, what should we be doing to basically reach the same goals as to
Right.
respecting women, empowering them.
Right. I think it's personal. That's why we when we named the organization, we said not in my name, not in our name. So it's not a group thing. It's an individual thing. When you're alone, when there's any form of injustice wherever you are, you can rise as an individual to be able to say, not in my name to that. So uh, every individual who has a conviction to do the right thing, then collectively we're stronger. But it starts by an individual having a conviction. I always say that conviction will always outweigh numbers in anything, because it's not a matter of how many people are pushing a certain direction. It's whether you truly understand and believe what you're doing, and one is a majority in this space. And so, if you can live by those um, values of saying that, you know, I'm going to do the right thing, even in the dark, and more of us doing that, the better.
We've discussed the role that the foundation plays, the role that you and I play, and we also touched sports, socioeconomic
Yes.
issues. But what role does politics play? It's bringing politics into the picture.
Well, politics is your everyday life, unfortunately. Uh, it's politics that you and I are sitting here. Why are you doing this? And people need to understand that politics is not necessarily what you see in terms of parliament and up and down and so on. But we need to realize that our lives are governed by politics. Those that we vote for, we put them in power with the hopes that they will be able to make our lives bearable and livable and a little bit easier. Um, Hence, um, it is the fabric and the fiber of every uh, society. Uh, but politics at home, you know, um, if you are used to coming home at 8 o'clock and one night you come home at 10 o'clock, the wife is going to ask why. Got to manage that. It's politics already. You've got, politics in a soccer team, and so on. So it kind of government governs your life. So you you have to try. Um, like for us, for example, we are apolitical, so we don't stand with necessarily with a specific political party. But if there is a specific political organization that is advancing what we do, and we're always willing and wanting to partner with that because they have a stronger voice and resources, for example. So if the ANC is doing the right thing in helping issues of social injustice, we'll partner with them. If the DA is doing the right thing to help society and curb social injustice and gender-based violence, we salute them for that. If the EFF is doing something that is right, that's part of in terms of the foundation. Obviously, personally, we've all got our preferences and how we lean and vote and ideologies and so on. And we try not to speak party politics when it comes to the organization. But we encourage everybody to have a voice and to have a say about what happens in their neighborhood, Stratton Sabo, Lokshin Labo, wherever they are. Everybody should be able to have a civic, it's a civic duty. And most of all, we encourage friends, members of Not in My Name to be active voters because we believe that the franchise is very important. That's where we as a people have got power to determine who we want to be able to lead us and to govern us as a nation. And it is very important that we exercise it, especially for young people. I don't know what the stats are, but we've got so many young people who aren't even registered to vote. So we need to kill that apathy and be able to say, guys, we need to vote and vote right. And this time, I would want to say, don't vote with your conscience. Vote with your lived reality. What you see, akunamsebenzi, akunakudla, kunama-rape, kunama-abuse, nani. Vote because you want to change that. And vote for those who you feel can do that. But vote, you must vote. Not to vote is actually, to me, tantamount to treason. Yeah. We should exercise that right. Not only because people sacrificed their lives and died for us as a people, especially Black people, to determine who governs you. But it is important because it is your opportunity once in 5 years to actually make your voice heard. Whether you want to punish a party, whether you want to elevate a party, whether you want to bring in something, but you need to be at the polling station and vote.
So now that's the party side of politics.
I mean, that's the me part. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So guys, we will have another video just where we also differentiate the
Yes.
party politics and the state politics being government. And you've largely spoken about the political parties aspect of it.
Yes.
From a government aspect of it, what is being done, what is being done wrong, right, and what do you think should be done?
Yeah, I've got a lot to say about that,
Okay.
especially when it comes to governance. I think what government should be looking at is first and foremost competency when it runs. And we know we've got 3 spheres. You've got your national, your provincial, and your local government. For example, local government should be depoliticized completely, because it does not matter whether I'm DA, ANC, EFF, Freedom Front, whatever. Doesn't matter. I need potholes gone. I need the garbage to be taken out. I need the electricity meter to work. I need the city clean. That has got nothing to do with party politics. So there we need to get people who are competent, people who can manage projects, people who can manage the electricity, So get engineers, get project managers, people who can actually do your everyday running of things. Yes, at a higher level, you'll probably need your politicians and those who are voted into power. But here, on the ground, on a daily base thing, you need to depoliticize it. So I think we should cut out party politics at the base level. And then maybe from province and national, we can start talking there.
But also zooming that towards the women and children and fighting that. Yeah. So I understand the service delivery 100%.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
It is what it is.
Yes. And obviously talking on your civic and your social part of things, 100% emancipation of women and men, but specifically making sure that you've got the right people in the right place. And whether he's got a penis or a vagina really doesn't ride with me, as long as you can do the job. But most of all, yes, because of the injustices of the past, we need to have, a proportionate representation of women, so that that we can reach the gender parities, and it's 100% correct. And I believe in that. So 50-50, yes, 100%. But make sure that whoever is there is competent. Whether the mayor is going to be a woman, that really doesn't bother me, as long as she can make sure that we've got the services that we need. And then even higher, with party political lists as well, we need to make sure that there's competency, not a person who can shout the loudest at a conference and, sing the hardest, and, or somebody that can mobilize a group of people because of money, and then that person emerges, but that person is devoid of any form of leadership, other than shouting and rallying people around. Because once you're in government, it's not about how loud you can shout and scream. It's whether you can actually lead and provide for the masses of our people. And it's part of the reason why I don't really um, go with party politics and so on, because, conferences are a joke many a times. And people will go in there and emerge as leaders, you know. Uh, so yeah, I can say a lot there. Like the poem says, the center is no longer holding. The falcon can no longer hear the falconer, and the best of us are no longer in the space. And crooks and uh, yeah, there's many words I can use, adjectives to say, have come in, and perhaps someone would argue, then, is that not the reason why more of you should be getting into the space?
So coming there.
Ye- Yeah, but I think that it's rotten to the core of the space. There needs to be a new space that's created. And that's why we're in civil society. The preamble of our constitution says, we the people. And we should remind uh, society in South Africa that we the people have got power. And that's why I'm in civil society. And that's why we're going to try and drum that voice and people to understand that politics and politicians won't say. That's another main story.
Okay.
But vote, vote, vote.
Please do vote. Register to vote.
Yes.
Lost my train of thought there for a bit.
Mhm.
But okay, yes. So with regards to the state side, there's obviously the law, there's the law enforcement, where there obviously challenges that we can all see there. One,
Right.
crime. But how do we, from the law enforcement and law side, how do we get the police officers, social workers to come on board to play their part? I mean,
Train them well, pay them well, and stop treating a normal politician who emerged at a conference like a celebrity. Get the people who actually do the work to be treated like a minister, like a DG, like the politician. Appreciate what they do. So whether it's teachers, whether it's social workers, whether it's police, most importantly, provide competent training. It's so sad when you go into a police station, a woman runs in there, she's been beaten up. I think that young Shire, I need to open a case. Then the policeman stops being an enforcer of the law and he wants to become a social worker. Ah, why not pants in your kuluma in the? You're not a social worker, you're a policeman. Do your job there. Uh, know how to treat somebody who's been violated. A girl has been sitting in the judge office for 5 hours. She has been raped. There's no sensitivity. Next, yeah, Sissy, King. Oh, rapile, Kima, Eva. You understand? So things like that. There needs to be proper training, sensitivity to issues that are brought about. I had a case recently where a missing child was being reported. And the police officer said, no, it's not more than 24 hours, so go back. There's no such law. There's no such thing, even in the police code. Where does he get that? But those are things that you need to be able to train the police to be able to handle society right, but also appreciate them right for the good work that they do and pay them accordingly for the good work that they do. Goes to teachers as well. You can't afford to have teachers now. They are teachers, but now they also have to train martial arts and buy guns and to protect themselves from children in classrooms. So it's a whole societal thing. We as parents as well need to be able to teach children right, that when you go to school, you go and listen, you go and do the right thing. Also, on the other hand, you can't have a situation where a teacher now, which will run a school, you know, where you've got a high school daughter, you are worried that Umenier now is, catering with your children. So, hey, bro, it's a circle that we need to be able to focus on and work at. And that's why we need more hands to be on deck as organizations, as civil society. We can't work in silos. We need every single expertise to come on deck so that we can actually turn the injustices of society around.
You touched on the training, the remuneration of particularly as a SAP
Servants, yes.
No disputes, fully agree. However, there does, I assume at some point also there must be some type of logic or some type of conscience that prevails above that. Because yes, a training aspect is required to say when a lady's been raped, that there must be some type of sensitivity. But from a natural humanity aspect, some of the things should just be natural.
Yes.
Yeah. How do we address that part? As I think you can train someone, but if there isn't the attitude, the mindset, the awareness, or how do we tend to that aspect?
True. And unfortunately, a CV doesn't say whether a person has got those natural virtues or gifts to be able to do something. So at least you need the necessary training. However, you would want to believe that somebody that's going to be a nurse, a doctor, a police officer, a social worker has that apt desire to be of service to people. And the unfortunate thing is that we've got a lot of people who go into the space not because there's necessarily a desire or a calling to be in that space, but because of economics and socioeconomics. I need a job, bottom line. So, when a person that person will make a good cop. Or, this is the one nurse because I filled in different forms. These are the ones that called me. So also it goes back down to the schooling system, being able to teach kids and channel kids in the right way. And our education system, I would say, needs to be not just about the parroting that we have, where Siafunda 1652, the Damadaras landed, John van Riebeeck came here. It doesn't help. We need to be able to have an education system that teaches critical thinking, that teaches compassion, that teaches competitiveness and competence, so that kids can actually come out of school being competent in a certain skill, in a certain way of thinking, and critical thinkers, and so on. And that's why you're going to see now the rise of for those who can afford private schools, the homeschoolers, and so on, because the old way of educating the masses doesn't work. 1 + 1 is 2. Pinda 1 power. Axis. You understand? And so you've got a lot of people who are have passed, even in tertiary, but they're not educated. You understand? Ufundile but awubhadlanga. You understand? You've got a degree, but it's scary. Somebody has got a BCom, everything, but they can't construct a proper sentence. People don't have schools. So our education system also needs to change. Not just your IQ, but your emotional intelligence as well. Kids too. And yeah.
Back to the politics law aspect of it, we have law, constitution, rights. How do we now balance the right of a victim versus that of an accused? And I know we've had discussions, or even convicted, where it comes to the perpetrators list. We've had discussions of castration.
Right.
How does one balance the legal, particularly the victim?
Look, obviously, our country is of the viewpoint is unlike in some eastern areas, or where if you're guilty, you must prove your innocence. Here, you are innocent until you're proven guilty, and that's the law. That's the space that we work in. Unfortunately, when it comes to issues of gender-based violence and femicide, it's difficult. We had a case now where we eventually had a conviction of a stepfather who slit the throat of an 8-year-old child because he was fighting with the mother. But that person has still got a right to go and apply for bail. So our law sometimes is very much perpetrator centric than victim. You understand? That guy has got a right to go to court and apply for bail. And that's where you find a situation where much Mpakati in the community says, no problem, give him bail, let him get. Or keep a bail. You understand? That should change, especially on cases that are clear and slam dunk. You went and slit the throat of a child. I don't care what the issue was. Ukuthi mamakhe kwenzeni or ugogo khona yakangeni lapha. Umntwana ungenaphi. So you must sit in the cell until we've decided with your case. And the case must be venomous and must be quick. Hey, ukwazi umntwana. Done. Life sentence for you. Why must we be having long stories and so on? So we should move from being, and that when we have laws that are venomous and quick, we're going to deter other would-be perpetrators. Let me tell you something. Men do not abuse because they know it's wrong. We know it's wrong. Umuntu uyazi ukuthi shamfazi wrong, rape wrong. They do it because they know that there is no actual consequence to it. You know, you're going to rape somebody, you're going to apply for bail, you're going to get bail. And then you're going to go and buy the prosecutor. And then you are poor. Or you're going to go and threaten the family and so on. You go and get a protection order. This guy is abusing the family, is beating up everyone. The family gets a protection order. It's not even worth the paper because it doesn't even get enforced. Abuye endlini simthema athi ya ngihambile naye ungenzela into le zonikhomba manje. And then the police will come back and say, no man, hlalani phansi man. Bona sesike munawo akere unisitse mahali le. 2 weeks later someone dies. Yeah, what? So we need to have a balance and really understand what a victim is going through. And the court system also needs to expedite and be faster, especially on cases like this, you know?
On that, earlier, you touched on the vigilante aspect. Community coming in, playing their parts.
We have a blame.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, it's not me interviewing. Yeah.
No, I'm not. But I'm just asking, what's the role that they should play, and where does it start and where does it end? Obviously, no one wants to see injustice, especially in my town and my neighbor.
Look, let's be honest. 2 wrongs don't make it right? And we have to be clear on that. So it does not mean with Manji, we must now go and apply for bail for perpetrators. We must get them out. But what brings that about is the incompetency of the system and the injustice that you see police. Understand? That's what makes society get angry. People generally are willing and wanting to be law-abiding citizens. But because of the injustice that you see, the bribery, the corruption within courts, at police stations, I want to, but this is not going to work for us. Futhi asiyobiza namaphoyisa. Uthi ubani wakuphi siyamlanda. You understand? So we should look at our systems, our competency once again, in order to make sure that society doesn't turn against us. Yeah, what? We can't have a let them eat cake syndrome and then we get surprised why they burn down the castle. Yeah, what? We should make sure ukuthi umuntu makaboshiwe, icase iyaphuma, the investigating officer contacts the family, keeps them, afraid of what is happening with the case, tells them when they must be in court, make sure when it gets to court, the guy gets prosecuted, gets sentenced, then you wouldn't have a society. Make sure if somebody uyavulela case, akunakuthi hey uhambile wayobribe lapha emaphoyiseni. You understand? So we should look at it from those who are in the system and in the law must do the right thing. Because society is led. And how you treat society, at one point, like it's gonna get to a point where bazoshisa nama police station because people aren't doing the right thing.
Bringing it a bit closer to home. Let's say I've got a friend who I find out hit his girlfriend, raped his girlfriend, man to man, friend to friend, neighbor. How do we go about those chats?
Yeah.
Or what do I say?
Good question. Yeah. And that's part of the ways and yes, it's one of the ways we're going to combat the issue of gender-based violence and femicide. We as men need to call one another out. We need to name and shame. Away with this bro code issue. No, it's wrong. Why do you rape? You understand? I mean, really, you know what you are horny. Or at night, man, I'm your thing. I don't know. But you can't be forcing yourself on another person's body and making another child's body a crime scene just because when you feel with your daughter and fanutati wako. And also the socialization. Yabona nasengomeni fanele siqale ukutshela abafana the right thing. Mina ngiNdebele nguMasango ngiphondo lubovu namhla ngahlaba ihlabile ngikwele ngidumanga ne. And nanoma ngathana bangathi uyihloko yomuzi, but isiko liyakutshela ukuthi umuntu wesifazane uyahlonishwa. Why? Because that is the backbone of your family, your neighborhood, and your country. And if when you're gonna get to a point yokudlengula, yokushaya umuntu wesifazane, okuzalela abantu okuphathela umhlaba wakho actually, what are you saying about yourself? So those are things we need to teach young boys. And us as men, we need to really call one another out and expose each other. So that it must be uncomfortable for a rapist to be able to be amongst us. Noma kuseshisa nyana, noma sisebholweni eGrandstanding, sihleli sisonke la. Asathi uyacula uyakhona ukuthi hey thula wena uyarape wena, awufuneki la. Yeah, umdlenguli. You understand? So that we can minimize this thing. But manje ngoba siyathula siyaprotectana, we allow any comment and statement to be said about anybody. Imagine your sister is walking past, sihleli siblomile nje amajithe e-car wash. Umntwana kini uyandlula ugcoke i-stove pipe lapha. Even you are going to freeze with, yeah, I hope these guys don't say what I think they know they are saying. So we must treat every women and girl like our own sisters, wives, and treat them how we would like. Yeah, boy? So it starts there. The little catcallings, little names. We should be able to say, I'm for a So don't do that. Can't we out change her? No, out here, right? That's not going to happen. You understand? And when we can do that and be able to call one another out and say, hey, man, yeah, it's right to petting you, one another, but the way you treat her, one don't know what family as keep. Me, I'm losing respect for you. You are not a man. Yeah. And then I is a law game, guess what? So, and that's the thing that we need to be able to do, challenge one another, put each other at that spot. Because it's going to take that so we can change each other's mindset.
So back to you guys as a foundation, the work you've been doing. How do we get involved in an individual capacity? There's a Jabu there that wants to join. How, where,
Oh, no.
when?
Very easy. Membership is easy. on all social media platforms. It's Not In My Name International, so Not In My Name Int. Send us a DM, send your joining form. You sign up. We'll try and get a branch that's near you, closest to you in your area. If there isn't one, there's always the virtual one, and we can get together, have our meetings, and we need more people come up with programs, lead certain areas where they are, and have a Not In My Name group in Kaigini, Lokshinlak, wherever you are, and we support one another. So, yeah, info@nimni.org. Say change like say Not In My Name SA anymore. That's in the international much. So it's Not In My Name international.org, and people can contact us there. But the best way is usually via DMs or message there. Then there's someone who will be able to respond directly to you, and then maybe get you to a chairperson or secretary of a region or a branch, or directly.
And I can attest to them actually being responsive because
Yeah.
that's how we landed up here.
Okay.
So
Oh, you see, that's good. Yeah.
And then I know that we.
I got a WhatsApp now because I put on my status a picture. But how do you know that's gonna? Hey, Mnang Mas. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we discussed that we will have the follow-up conversation with the TG
You're right.
of the organization,
Yeah.
but from a overall perspective, advice, how would you advise, or what advice would you give to someone that wants to start a foundation similar to this to achieve whatever they want to achieve, or tips, goals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Not My Name is now what? We're going to 7 years now. And a lot of times people start NGOs, NPOs, more often funding somewhere, but and that's the problem. Then they don't last. The issue should be about something that you are clearly convicted about, something that you really want to see and make a difference, whether there's money or no money. I can tell you stories, but when we started, there were no cars, there were no offices. Besingadli, sihlanganisa, sifake singene etekisini, siye court or siyomarcha. Understand? So there needs to be a real, genuine conviction that drives you for what you do first. Don't start one when you ufuna TV, famous, ufuna no, telling you from a government and so on. And 9 out of 10 times they don't even give you. We've not even been funded by government yet. And you'll see Salasipay one. Imali yakhona ayifiki nokufika la yakho. I was telling you offline how much it takes monetarily to run an organization in there. So you need people who are genuinely care about whatever space they in. Whether when you are really moved by the conversations about women, children, or whether it's about flowers, cars, whatever. But if you're going to start something, do it and be willing to do it alone. Leaders are people who do, and others see the fire and the zeal and the thing in them, and they want to join and follow it. Not to say, hey guys, man, tell us man, then you know this thing. So start. That's point number one. You may not understand Benzagalani. And then also have a listening and learning spirit. Hear and learn. Till today, we're getting questions and answers. We're learning from different people. We're trying to get to know what, how better we can advance the thing we're doing. And right now, we're the fastest growing civil rights black-led organization in the country. Because siyafuna ukufunda and kuzoba nama-up and down lapho nalapho, and always know that as long as this is inayilane yethu siphethe, people want to divert you, asingeni lapho sila. And so
So I'm gonna commit you,
yeah,
to being open and available to assisting anyone out there that was that does want to
I'll
start
invoice there.
Okay, that's a discussion between you guys.
No, yeah, I get what
Discussion
you
between
yes.
you guys, but I'm
Yes.
committing you that
Right.
we'll put your details, the bio and a contact person
Right.
in our bio,
Right.
and then yeah, you guys can.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
directly.
Always willing to help and assist where we can, and push. So we don't know everything, and we're always learning from one another. And we need more people in the civil society space, especially more black people, more black men and women, bayafuneka, in the space, um, so that we can actually get things to move in the direction we want and our agenda to be placed up front. It's very important.
Before closing, is there any remarks you'd like to give to youth, men, women? Um,
Uh, yeah, look, we're going into elections next year. Please go and vote. It's very important. Two, gents, let's do the right thing. You know, let's love our families. Let's love our mothers, sisters, wives. Um, let's do the right thing, and let's support one another. Let's talk. Also, in Dunkule, as I'm out as Kulumbi, we need to talk. We need to open up, and let's not stigmatize the issue of talking. It's very important because mukhuluma uyabhodla yabo ungafeli ngaphakathi ugcine manje you've now sizwe yeyi nongusizwe udubule the whole family yabo mara le awuthi benginayo izolo beka-right. I don't understand, you understand, because we get together espotini ebhareni eshisanyama, and then into esikhulumayo ukuthi yeyi ngishaye bani ichiriya kabani bani, yeyi ubani bani ngithethe ini, yeyi ngibhaye ikari enjani. But we don't talk about issues that really affect us. Understand? Because we want to be macho all the time, since strong. I know big guys, execs, who sleep on their couches in a 6-bedroom mansion. We need to be able to be free and start talking about that. Okay, Joe. Why I'm here, like Parin, until to 1. Ukubona ihrotmane liye mona iliphethe inyuku lehu egrand. It's 11. Sithe sizakubona. Nee man, last round asiphuzeli. There's something there. There's something ayibalekayo angafuni endlini ngayo. Understand? Let's talk about it. Let's and so as part of members and guys of Not In My Name, we should be able to spark of uncomfortable uh, topics, you know. So vela savuki. Cala lapho. Neshukela ihrotman. Yangizwisisa. So now he doesn't want to go home ngoba umedem uyayifuna. It's been 6 months. Umedem udecideni ukhaya i-garden boy. Ihrotman ibonile lento. Yamuhle, but he can't say anything about it. Yabo? So wenzani? Uzinikele ebhodleleni. Siphuza nalo ihrotman. It draws every weekend. Ayifuna ukuvaya ihrotman. Wazi ukoma phelile so that he can have the excuse. He gets challenged in that endlini. One day ngigcina kwatile. I think like wena hey uyafeba wenza so. But the problem ebekanayo ngabe khulumile ngayo. Hey guys, siyenza njani? Yabo? Wazi nje ukuthi mina ngazi ihrotman elinye eliphethe imbiza. Hey, what's that? You understand? So those are things that we need to talk about. You know, we need to talk about that. I know guys, like I'm telling you, execs who are being abused by their wives. This guy is running a multi-million-dollar company. Marumfazo yamshaya endlini. Uyasaba ukukhuluma ngalo. We need to say, you know, it happens. You understand? My brother, it happens, and so on. And maybe you've been through it also. Maybe we can talk about it. Create those. That's what Not In My Name is about. You understand? With guys, I must be my brother's keeper and be able to try and diffuse a situation before it figure somewhere. Yabo? Or maybe awuthi beyinenyuka kudala ayisafuna ukubonakala ngathi ayisanamali. Mara uyambona une-stress. Yabo? Must be free ukukhuluma ukuthi hey gents, mina kusafani nayizolo. imali iphelile ngiyimoshile, I blew it, and then endlini akusesemnandi so. You know, then uyakwazi ukuthi hayi ungawari ngawuzoncenga khona la, yabo, at least when there's something uyifake endlini, whatever, but we need to be able to do that. So it's not just about exposing each other on the wrong, but also talking to each other and assisting one another so that we can be able to be the men that we want to be. Because bottom line out here, you want to be a protector, you want to be a provider, you want to be seen in that light also by your family. You know? We need to help each other. Yeah.
No, thanks for coming through.
Okay.
Thanks for the interview, gents. You've heard the message. Let's play our parts. Let's provide, protect, love, empower. And must also register to vote, encourage others, get involved, start your own foundation. If not, volunteer. Before you do all of that, like, subscribe, share, and join us again. Thank you.